Okay, if I'm the NBA, why would I set up 11 of my games on a night where a majority of the public is going to end up watching NFL anyway? Now, on Tuesday, we're stuck with 3 games. And now I'm stuck with content covering 3 total games. But we do have 3 exciting games because my Spurs are on the slate, so therefore it makes it the best slate ever. And I'm going to bring it to you right now. Now, if you guys have watched my other videos, I restarted the format, really. Been going over some DFS strategy before we jump into the actual picks, because what are picks without the strategy and implementing Fantasy Cruncher and all that good stuff? You have to utilize the ownership. You have to understand the strategy perspective before you can build a lineup in the appropriate contest. So this is what I did last night. Again, transparency is everything. I played a 3-max and I played double ups. I did end up breaking even. I literally made like $5 total on the slate. Literally, I think I put down like 60, 65, came out with like 70. So I broke even in NBA and got absolutely throttled in NFL. It was not good for the NFL because if you would imagine, I actually expected the game to be close, and it wasn't. I did play a contrarian 49ers line, but just didn't get it done. Got pretty far in the GPPs, just didn't cover my entry fees because that line did not have Cooper Kupp, who exploded. Anyway, we're not talking about NFL. We are talking about NBA. Let's now look at my double up lineup. Again, double ups, you play the ownership, period. Whatever the chalkiest lineup is, you play in double ups because if the chalk hits, you still come out even, which it did last night. And if you play it contrarian, if you play the GPPs contrarian, then you take advantage of that chalk missing, and it excels you past the cash line and into GPP territory, and hopefully you take down a GPP and make a lot of money. So last night chalk did hit somewhat. This is a $25 entry, and I ended up playing the chalk lineup, so I split there. It was right on the cash line. I made $36 on this lineup. Ricky Rubio, Tyler Hero, very high owned, Duncan Robinson, Mobley. Mobley, by the way, did get injured per some injury reports that came out this morning. So that's the reason he didn't see the entire fourth. He would have smashed value, I do imagine, if he actually played the entire game. Deadman was a last-minute pivot. By the way, we did update on dgfantasy.com. If you guys showed up to the live stream, we didn't even mention Deadman because we expected Bam to play. Well, right after lock, all that news came out. We adjusted our cheat sheet. Deadman was a lock 10 minutes before lock, and all of our members were able to benefit there. 77.2% owned. Kyle Lowry was another chalky option, didn't pay off there. I expected one of these Heat guys to not finish fire, and of course it is Kyle Lowry because it's always a guy that's in good spots. And he never performs. THT was obviously chalk all the way up through lock, and then Jokic was another player that was very, very chalky because of his price tag and due to lineup construction. Finished fire like we expect him to finish. But if we go back and look at some of my GPPs, let's actually take a look. History. By the way, the DraftKings format in terms of finding your history for lineups is so much worse than the mobile version. I wish the mobile version I could just pull up here and show you guys, but it would require a lot of maintenance. Nonetheless, this was actually my best performing lineup. I finished with 338. I believe Mobley was my only cold. What could have been here. So I think I was 30 points off of the takedown. The takedown in that contest was $2,000. I only finished with 30. Ricky Rubio Cunningham, I did play at lower ownership here, 16.7%. Also, Cole Anthony ended up being lower owned than I expected. I actually expected him to be chalky. Jaren Jackson was my one off here. So as you can see, in GPPs, I only got different in a couple spots. Looks like I got different in the incorrect spots because Evan Mobley would have been the spot to get different. Obviously that didn't pan out, but I did finish well in that contest. Again, getting different with Jaren Jackson, Cole Anthony, and somewhat Cade Cunningham. He ended up being chalkier. A lot of the sharks were on him as well. And then some other GPPs that did not cash, but again, doesn't mean I played it incorrectly. It just didn't finish in my favor there. But let's take a look at this lineup. Dinwiddie, another chalky player. He was one player that could have been in your cash lineup easily. Duncan Robinson, THT. It didn't get different there. Mobley, Deadman, Hero, and then the last 2 spots here, Anthony Davis and then Kyle Lowry. I guess you could say I got different here with Anthony Davis straight up over Jokic was my thought process because I know a lot of people were playing Jokic. So really, this wasn't that contrarian at all. Regardless, did not finish well. And then I did get different there in just one spot. And then last but not least, we have my other GBP that did not finish well, 263. This one probably got absolutely annihilated. Let's take a look at this lineup construction. Levine was a little different here at 12.2%. Jaren Jackson, I did get different there. Kevin Huerter, Mobley, Caruso. So really, this was pretty chalky as well. Looks like I only got different here with Jaren Jackson and Levine. Regardless, as you can see, in 3-max contests, that was a medium-sized GBP. You really don't have to get different that much to do well in GBPs. As you guys can see, the 338 3-8 lineup. I only got different 1-2 spots, and it propelled me to near the top. Obviously, with Evan Mobley, if he would have finished good, it looks like he was a core piece in all my lineups. Just because I ended up landing on him, just unlucky. I still finished with profit. Okay, so that's the main thing. If you're playing the chalk in these small GPPs and double ups, you're taking advantage of the higher ownership there. And when it misses, you're taking advantage in the bigger GPPs. That's how it works. But enough talk about strategy and last night's slate. Let's now talk about these games going forward here for the slate. Right now, the injury reports look pretty solidified. Honestly, we have some doubtful players. We have some guys that have already been rolled out, and then we have some probable guys. Unless any of this changes, it looks pretty straightforward. Starting with the Golden State Warriors, we do have Klay Thompson and Wiseman out. We're used to seeing that. For the Brooklyn Nets, we still have Claxton, Harris, obviously Irving, and Millsap looks like he's going to be out for the foreseeable future. For the 76ers, the exact same injury report we've been seeing here. However, the price tags have come back down a little bit, so I do have some interest there on the 76ers side of the ball. With the Utah Jazz, we do have Rudy Gay out. He doesn't really impact the team too much because he does come off the bench, and he's been out for a very long time. With my Spurs, still Collins and Jakob Poeltl out for them. 4-9, we're going to win this game, and it's going to be an easy win here against the Clippers. Going to turn that into 5-9. And then with the Clippers here, we have Johnson, we have Leonard, we have Morris, and Preston out. That's the exact same injury report we've been used to seeing all season long. Nonetheless, they have not changed anything in terms of the price tag, so we will have a decent amount of plays there to cover. Let's now focus on this slate here, going game by game, team by team. I think that's the best way to do it on the small slate. That way you get a firm grasp of the entire slate here. On the Golden State Warriors side of the ball, there's really only a little bit of interest I have here in terms of cash. Not really obvious plays. Draymond Green, $6,400. Did get that price bump. He was $62 last game. I did have more interest there against Charlotte because that was the highest paced game on the slate. This game is also the highest paced game. However, he did come up in price tag. Doesn't really, it fit a lot of the builds right now. He's projected right now at 34.5 points on Fantasy Cruncher. With Draymond Green, again, we don't have ownership projections, so this is all just kind of, up in the air right now in terms of the ownerships, but I can only expect that he won't carry too much ownership. $6,400, he's probably going to be carrying about 10 to 20% in the awkward category, in terms of ownership on this very small slate. No other interest really all the way around. Seth Curry is going to be another guy you can get different with. On the other side of the ball, there's going to be some more obvious pay-up options, so I think he's going to be a fantastic pivot option, but at 10.9K really doesn't make sense here. He should show up. Could be a great play if he does outperform both Kevin Durant and James Harden. However, I'm not landing on him right now. I don't think he's a safer option because his price tag is higher than a lot of the studs here on the slate. Switching over to the Brooklyn Nets, this is where we start to draw the first bit of interest here for chalk. Bruce Brown is at $4,200, and he has been playing a decent amount of minutes. 31 projected minutes right now, and since Paul Millsap is out, and same thing with Claxton, he's been getting power forward minutes. So as you can see here in the last game, without Paul Millsap, he got 28 minutes. They are projecting him here at 31 because this is a smaller lineup on the other side of the ball here with the Golden State Warriors. They're going to need Bruce Brown for defensive purposes, and historically on the season, he's only averaging 0.82 fantasy points per minute here with these guys off the court, so it's not the best. However, I do think he's a safe option here and the highest team total here on the slate. Paddy Mills is my next favorite option here. No bias whatsoever. He's just a shooter here in a high-paced game, $3,800. He's also projected 30 minutes. I don't know if that's going to be the amount of minutes he does end up playing. However, he did play 31 minutes in the last game, so I don't know if they were playing him just because he was riding that hot streak. Did shoot 9 for 12 last game from 3. Again, Paddy Mills goes through streaks. That's just what he does. However, he's not a safe play, but in terms of minutes, he does have a decent floor. So I do like him as a last piece in cash. I'm not going to be all over him. It's not like I'm going to prioritize Paddy Mills, but I do like him here in terms of upside here in this contest versus the Golden State Warriors. Blake Griffin is going to carry lower ownership. We saw that last slate at 4K, projected about 26 minutes. I do think he's going to see the floor, and I do consider him a decent GPP option. But the chalk pay-up option on the slate is going to be Kevin Durant. 10.3K is cheaper than Steph Curry and also James Harden, but he also has a higher fantasy point per minute output here historically on the season than James Harden by like 0.4 points. So Kevin Durant at 10.3K is going to be very, very chalky. He's fitting a lot of the builds, and honestly, he's appearing in about 99% of my builds right now. James Harden, not so much. He's going to be a nice GPP pivot option. However, he's not been off to the best start because since the NBA has obviously changed the rules to not favor flopping and all that good stuff, driving to the hole and getting to the line as easily, James Harden has taken a significant drop here here in terms of fantasy points per minute. And last but not least, let's talk about Lamarcus Aldridge. He was my play and my lock last game because I did expect him to play decent minutes. However, he only played 22. I do expect his usage to stay the same in this game, but I don't like the upside from Lamarcus Aldridge here. He's projected 24 minutes, so is expected to play a little bit more. It'd be interesting to see what his ownership kind of lands on. His price tag did come up, which is going to push a lot of people off him. I do think people are going to prioritize Bruce Brown over Lamarcus Aldridge. However, I do like both of them. I think they're both going to be fitting a lot of builds just at their specific price tag. $4,200 is very cheap, and same thing with Lamarcus Aldridge at $4,800. However, I do think Lamarcus Aldridge is going to carry a little bit of lower ownership there for the Brooklyn Nets. Switching over to the Philly 76ers, like I said, these guys came down in price tag because they haven't been performing well, and they don't draw the best matchup here versus the Utah Jazz. So the price tags make more sense here. It looks like Seth Curry at $5,400, 36 projected minutes is actually going to be one of my favorite options on the slate. I know it's not the best matchup, but let's take a look at this. When all of these guys have been off the court here for the 76ers, talking about Joel Embiid. On the season, Seth Curry's averaging 0.97 fantasy points per minute. That's in 60 minutes of sample size, so that's about a game and a half. And yes, he is going to have the ball in his hands a lot. Him and Tobias Harris. They're going to have to score the basketball. They're just going to have to keep up with these Utah Jazz. Right now, it's a 9-point spread, so it's supposed to be relatively competitive, enough for them to stay on the floor. So I do like the minute upside here with Seth Curry. I also like the fact that he should be taking a lot of shots. Him and Tobias Harris. Mark my words, one of these guys will finish and probably break the slate just with the amount of volume that they're going to get here in this contest. I like both of them. I like Seth Curry right now projected at 35.89 points, and we have Tobias Harris projected at 46.36 points. Again, going to preface this. I don't think they're in the best matchup. These guys should not be carrying tremendous ownership. There should be chalkier guys here from the Brooklyn Nets and also San Antonio Spurs and Clippers in terms of value. But I do like Seth Curry for $5,400, and I do like Tobias Harris at $8,500. Speaking of minute upside, we're going to talk about Tyreese Maxie, who's sitting at $7,200 and averaging 1.06 fantasy points per minute with all these guys off the court. He just is consistent. And again, Utah Jazz. Not saying he's going to get there, but $7,200, a fantastic minute upside here with Tyreese Maxie. If these guys do score more than the anticipated 104 points, all of these guys are going to blow up in terms of value. So I do like them here. If they are going to carry lower ownership, then yes, I love Seth Curry, I love Tobias Harris, and I love Tyreese Maxie. Other than that, I hate the matchup here even more so with Andre Drummond going against one of the better defensive centers in the NBA. Not only that, we're going to talk about the other side here in just a second. Rudy Gobert is $1,000 cheaper. And I really have no other interest in any of these other guys. You can talk about Korkmaz, but more of a GPP option. Same thing with Andre Drummond, Niang, Milton, all those guys. Just their price tags and minute ratio do not make sense. And switching over to the Utah Jazz, I only want to talk about one single guy in terms of cash. Rudy Gobert is going to also carry a decent amount of ownership because of the price drop here. Better matchup for him. $7,700 just doesn't make sense. He is Mr. Consistent when it comes to the rebounding department. As you guys can see, gets rebounds all the time. So should be, a double threat night in and night out. I do expect him to hit value again at $7,700. And the rest of these guys are just going to be GPP options. The price tags kind of all over the place here. Jordan Clarkson did come up from that 4K range, so it's a little bit too expensive for my liking. Bryce O'Neal, not a good fantasy point per minute player. Donovan Mitchell, if you want to include him in GPPs, I don't mind it at $8,600. But Mike Conley is also priced up a little bit. I really don't have too much interest here in any one of these Utah Jazz outside of Rudy Gobert for cash. And then last but not least, we have the late night hammer here for Spurs against the Clippers. This does tip off at 10:30. There are some decent value plays. I do prioritize the Brooklyn guys. Doug McDermott, not historically the best fantasy point per minute player, and he actually got worse this season. He is playing, about 27 minutes. He has been consistent in his last few contests, other than the last game. Comes out to a 5.8 point per dollar value. I don't hate him for cash. However, I do prioritize, again, Bruce Brown from the Nets. Derek White is another guy that got a price decrease, and he has been getting price decreases here from that $6,400 price tag. He's come down a full $1,000. I think you take advantage of this. I think he does fit a lot of builds, and because of that, I do think he is cash viable at $5,400. It has been the DeJounte Murray show. As you guys know, he has come up all the way from like $6K to $9,500 since the season has started, and he has been dominant here for the Spurs. So, Derek White, because of his price tag, is going to carry a decent amount of ownership. He hit that $25 mark or 25 point mark last game, so I do like him here at a 5.8 point per dollar value. Drew Eubanks, another option here at $4,400. If you happen to land on him, I don't love the minute upside here. He only plays about 20 to 24 minutes every single game here without Jakob Poeltl on the floor. He is a good fantasy point per minute player. I just don't prioritize him here. I do think he's going to carry a decently lower ownership. Last but not least, we do have the Los Angeles Clippers here, and I do like some of these value plays. I think Hartenstein's in play for GPPs. Again, if he sees over 50 minutes, he's always in play. As you can see, whenever he does play minutes, 25 minutes against Minnesota, he did almost hit 40 points, and that's because Zubac was in foul trouble, and it was a blowout. Terrence Mann is another guy I want to highlight here, just always plays minutes. He's been playing 30-plus minutes for the past, a month or so since Kawhi Leonard has not been on the floor to start the season. Other than that, not really too much interest here in the Los Angeles Clippers. Reggie Jackson will carry ownership just because of that $6,100 and because he does play minutes. So again, it's all going to come down to lineup construction. Let's actually take a look here at my projections and who's showing up in the most builds as of right now. Seth Curry is showing in the most. Again, I do think he's going to be GBP viable. I do have my custom projections in here. So again, that does give a little bit more bias here to Seth Curry. I do think, however, Kevin Durant, Bruce Brown, Rudy Gobert, and Derek White, you can even throw Paddy Mills in that conversation, are your 4 highest owned on the slate in terms of lineup construction. I love those guys. They're just fitting a ton of builds, and their price tags really don't make sense. We will have a better grasp on the slate once we have ownership here. That will be uploaded to dgfantasy.com once those ownership projections do come in. And again, you can sign up for dgfantasy.com for only $20 a month or $10 a week if you want to try us out. You can try us out for a week. If you hate us, you can block us and never talk to us again. So those are both options for you. I do prefer to keep your subscription and hopefully see you in the Discord chat for the rest of the season. But again, $10 a month or $10 a week, you can try us out. Also, we are about 30 to 40 subscribers away from 10K subscribers on YouTube. If you guys could hit that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course smash that like button, it will be greatly appreciated. Of course, we are almost to the 10K mark, guys, so a huge milestone for this and the company. And of course, guys, this will end my video. Hopefully you did enjoy this content, and we will see you in the next video.